What's up guys, Nolan here, and today we got a new Reddit post from Nikita, the lead dev of Escape from Tarkov, and the current status of the Escape from Tarkov development. The full post will be linked below, so if you want to read it for yourself, it's there, but here's the TLDR as well as my perspective if you're interested. First, he just gives us a retrospective of the time since the last wipe last month. He mentions more people have continued to play since the New Year's event, so player numbers are up generally speaking. They've made appropriate updates to the server infrastructure to help with this, but remember, we still have a ways to go before the game is really there. When it comes to cheaters, they have banned over 40,000 accounts just this month and ask that we keep reporting when feasible. If you've been keeping up with the channel, then you know all about the balancing changes that they've been doing over the past few weeks between guns, attachments, crafting, and meds, just generally the entire game, so he talks about that. This time around, they got a ton of good feedback and they really appreciated that. He went on to mention that they have planned what's going to be in 12.10, aka the next patch, and no, it will not be a wipe, guys. For those of you already typing in the comments, it's not going to be a wipe. However, it should be in about a month based on the usual timing of these things, but that's not solid, especially not these days. So if you really need a date, you're not going to have one, but if you want an approximate date, I'd say about a month. On top of that, they've also worked out what they want done for this year in general, and then he moved on to the current work in progress. They're moving through patch 12.10 already, only saying the usual about there being bug fixes, and they also mentioned that there will be a couple of medium features, which they will give more details on in the next Tarkov TV live stream, which he then didn't give a date for, but I'll keep you guys up to date when I learn more. For those medium features, your guess is as good as mine. The only features that I know of that are close to be implemented would be custom rigs, weapon malfunctions, and maybe the variable zoom fixes for scopes, which we'll talk about more in a second. Next, Nikita mentioned working on intermediate small patches that will be coming up as soon as possible, including the next button fix people keep getting, as well as other small fixes that BSG see as priorities right now. This having to do with stutters, desync, and whatnot. Then he actually moved on further to say specifically they are working on network, netcode, as well as audio and sound fixes as well, and they are in fact still working on the move to Unity 19, which hasn't been discussed in a while, so I was getting a little worried. It sounds like everything is okay. They're still working on it, and if you need more info on that, I made a video specifically about what you would get from Unity 19, so check that out in the description below. BSG are working on improving the ballistics of the environment. I've already spoken about this a little bit, but I'll continue it here. They're going to work with ammunition and the penetration giggity of items in game, as well as the ricochet chances of that ammunition on certain items. Now, what's not mentioned specifically here, but I am curious about, is if that includes helmets. For those who don't know, helmets actually act unrealistically in game, because in real life, unless you have a massively heavy helmet on your head, you're really not going to be stopping a whole lot of these rounds, especially not the military rounds. So they did unrealistically buff helmets significantly. So now I'm curious if they're going to tone that down a bit, but he didn't say specifically. We'll see. Now here's the big stuff that they left towards the end of this report. They are working on the factory expansion as well as the factory SCAV boss. He didn't stop there though, as it looks like they are currently working on SCAV karma specifically, as in just for the SCAVs for now. I think this makes sense as at least a test before bringing it to PMCs, but who knows, maybe they won't. I discussed it more in the video linked below if you want to know what's up with karma. They started working on the new graphics overhaul for this year, which is one of their major goals for 2021. They started working on the first storyline quest, which will be interesting the next wipe whenever that happens. They are of course still working on the streets location, which is still planned for patch 13 and not expected for at least a few more months. A bunch of you out there are going to be happy to hear that they are going to be messing with player inertia and that the ETS will most likely get to see it before the live servers. So I'm at least happy that the community, even though it's a small portion of it, will get to see it and gets to mess with it a little bit. And then last but not least, Nikita confirms that they are in fact working on the sight and optic overhaul, which likely includes that variable zoom function that I spoke about earlier. So in conclusion, a quick perspective rundown is that they're doing the usual updates and bug fixes, of course, but for cool new stuff, they are working on the factory expansion, which when last spoken about will significantly increase the size of factory, as well as add a SCAV boss to the location. It's rumored that the SCAV boss will have a shotgun, but we'll see. I'm assuming that this expansion is going to include some form of entrance to labs, but not function as the entrance yet, because for those of you who don't know, factory will become the new entrance to labs, and streets will be the exit once map-to-map travel is implemented. No word on that map-to-map travel yet, but I would have to assume it comes with the streets location at the earliest. Another big thing here is that SCAV karma. The lack of breathing SCAVs on maps recently, due to player SCAVs killing all of them, is taking away from the experience in raid, so having a new way to combat that is going to be good for the game in my opinion. We'll see how well it's implemented and balanced though. The last time Nikita spoke about this, he mentioned you being tagged and cursed immediately on spawn if you get really bad karma, and this is as a SCAV because that's important. It would just be your SCAV. He even went further and mentioned that even the bosses on the maps will tag and curse notice you and hunt you down. The big issue being, of course, PMC karma. So whether your SCAV karma will affect your PMC, or they will both have their own, or maybe PMCs won't have karma at all. That is all to be seen. None of that has specifics yet past that there will be SCAV karma. Nikita already mentioned a new Tarkov TV cast, which is where usually we get the most information about this stuff. So I'll let you guys know more once I do, but that's going to do it for today, January 27th, 2021 in Escape from Tarkov. If you need more Tarkov news or content in general, then check out these playlists here. If you like this video, then you know the drill. Please subscribe. I really appreciate the people who do. Otherwise, I hope you at least learned something, and I also hope you have a nice day. See you guys.